What's up, guys? It's Richard and Rich on the Creative Solution Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about a couple different specifics in the contract that we're going to work through with our clients. Today, obviously, Richard's in the house, and we're going to hopefully get some good stories and examples, and also some solutions on how we can handle different situations. So the first thing that we're going to jump right into today, we're going to ask, what are the benefits of a home warranty?
Well, the home warranties are really good for a buyer because there's a lot of things that go wrong with the house. We don't know what they're going to be. So sometimes it might be mechanically with your air conditioner, with your furnace, your water heater. There's just sometimes some hidden things that even though we're doing a home inspection that's going to be missed, or things do just break. So a good home warranty, you'll be paying about a $75, $100, basically like a copay. And they'll come out, they'll fix the product for you. Now, with a home warranty company, you're going to have a better experience as long as you know you got a good, solid home warranty company that stands behind their warranties, and they have good local people that are coming out to do the jobs.
Absolutely. Now, what does a home warranty cover compared to like home insurance? What's the difference between the two? Because I know some people are like, well, if I've got a home insurance already with my policy, why would I need to go the home warranty route?
So your home insurance is from your insurance company, and that's going to cover for your flood, your fires, your water damage, wind damage, burglary. You got to have riders on your homeowner's insurance to make sure it covers these items, though. So you'll want extra insurance if you have maybe some art valuables that you want covered. You may want extra insurance if you have a pit bull. You know, there's some different things that we want to have insurance for to protect us in case we have bad issues. Yeah. The home warranty covers if you have a problem with your furnace, if you have a problem with your water heater, things like that, your actual mechanical stuff, just due to age and failure of mechanical systems.
Absolutely. Awesome. And then you had said it earlier with the home inspection, obviously, hopefully a home inspection would actually bring up some different things, but why do we feel it's so important? Obviously, we would encourage every client that we work with to do a home inspection. Doesn't mean they always do, but we would always strongly encourage it. What's the purpose for that?
So with the home inspection, we do encourage everyone to do it. In the last couple of years in the market, people hadn't been doing home inspections because they wanted to make sure they got the transaction, they got the deal. But with a home inspection, it gives a chance for somebody to go through the property with a fine-tooth comb. They should deliver back about a 30 or 40-page report with a lot of pictures telling about the particulars of a home. Most of us are not contractors. Most of us have never built a house ourselves personally, and we trust other people. So it's just like basically going to your doctor and getting a full physical checkup. That's what a home inspection does. The home inspections, I feel like they pay for themselves all the time. Number one, if I'm spending the money on a house, whether I'm buying a house for $150,000 or for $1 million, I want to know that what I'm buying is what I'm paying for. I want to make sure that it's got the quality, and that if there are any issues, that I know about them up front so I know to prepare for them. So a lot of issues that we are most concerned about are electrical and plumbing issues. Those are two of the biggest. We don't because of water damage and things. So we always like to see the home inspectors come into our properties and do our home inspections. The reason why is because they're trained to find problems that we're not aware of as realtors, or different issues that mechanically we won't have the knowledge of, and neither will our homeowners. So some homeowners have some experiences in their construction of homes, or maybe they're an engineer and they know all kinds of information, but we definitely want to have an expert come in, do a home inspection, give us a report so we can make sure the home is what we're expecting to purchase.
Awesome. So now, do you have any stories or maybe a time that something happened where the inspection either saved you, or maybe inspection wasn't done, something happened? I mean, do you have anything like that?
Okay, so I've had different clients that have done inspections that have found issues. I know I've sold a couple houses where there were fires after the fact that there was a home purchase, and one of the fires was due to a defective dryer. So they had a home inspection, so they knew that it wasn't the electrical panel, but the fire department evaluated it and figured out that it started from the dryer. So having a home inspection, I feel like in that regard, that protected the previous owner also, because now the previous owner didn't have to feel like they had a house that was done wrong that caused a fire. Correct. So home inspectors, they're protecting both sides. Water issues, that's another thing that home inspectors find a lot, that as realtors sometimes we don't see it. It's dried up, maybe the evidence of the the water damage has been covered up, or we can't see it, or maybe even like cracks in foundations. A lot of those things. As a home, as a realtor, we don't crawl in the crawl spaces and look at all the little areas that a home inspector does. They put on special suits and they go into the crawl spaces and they take pictures of anything. And foundation issues, that's another big one where I feel like as a realtor, sometimes we just don't see those.
Absolutely. Another thing that we work with our clients on obviously would be like the owner's titles insurance as well as the lender's title insurance. What's the difference in those?
So title insurance is very important. That guarantees that the property is owned, and if there's any defects where maybe the title company made a mistake or maybe something was not properly recorded, the title insurance steps in and will pay you or correct the problem with the title of your property. So for example, when a lender does a loan, they want to make sure that the title work is proper so they know they can foreclose on that title, on that property, if there's ever any issues. So in that case, we call that lender's title insurance. That is a requirement when you take a loan. Owner's title insurance covers the difference between what you paid for the property and what you took the loan for. So again, it's not a big, huge expense, but it can protect you. So personally, I've had experience with this. I bought a property one time. I bought 2 homes that were on the same lot. Well, there was an attorney that 2 years before I bought the property did not file the proper paperwork when they did a lot split. So I bought 2 homes on one lot, paid cash, and about 2 years after I owned the property, the one ownership entity realized that they had lost their property, so they came and basically just automatically took it from me. So I called my title company and I said, hey, we got a problem. So my title company paid me back the amount that I paid for the property because it was cheaper for them to pay that amount rather than go work out the problem with the other entity. So in that case, if I wouldn't have had title insurance, I would have lost everything. So title insurance, to me, it is important. A lot of people, especially when you're paying cash, and even if you're doing a title search, there's just things that was not the title company's fault that it was missed, but again, it affected me as the end consumer.
Awesome. So we've talked about like 3 different insurances of sorts basically on the property now, right? We've talked about the inspections, warranties, title insurance, things like that. One more thing we want to talk about today, and that would be the final walkthrough. And this is like almost our final step in the process. This should be hopefully done as close to closing as possible, just to ensure that we are buying the property in the way that we're expecting and all the different entities that we're going through.
So here's the deal. When we, as realtors, when we represent the public and when we're helping someone buy a house, we want to make sure that when they close, when they sign on the dotted line, that they're getting exactly what they expected. And if in our state, if you buy a property, you have no recourse unless you can prove somebody hid something or were dishonest. So in our situation, we want to do a final walkthrough right before closing. If we're closing at 3 o'clock, we want to meet them at 2 o'clock. The reason is there's been a lot of times for the final walkthrough, I've had many examples where, well, this last weekend, there was a lot of rain in our community and it rained like 12 hours straight, and one of our clients closed their home. The new buyer went over. The new buyer called immediately and said there's water pouring in a window in the basement. So in this community, there was so much water that water had literally coming in the basement window. So, and that was not an easy thing for this new first-time home buyer. If they would have done a final walkthrough right before closing, then my sellers would have had to take care of that immediately, and they would have been on the hook for it. Fortunately, everything worked out, and insurance companies were already in place, so there's no issues. I've had other situations where we were told by other realtors like, oh yeah, everything's done, all the repairs have been made, and we did not do a final walkthrough, and we have found that those repairs were not done. And once people have their money, it's a lot harder to go back to them and say, hey, you didn't fix this property properly, we need an extra couple $1,000s. So I always encourage, and it's a requirement for all my realtors to do a final walkthrough, and I encourage anybody, always do a final walkthrough right before closing, because that protects you as the realtor. So with the 4 types of insurances that we talked about today, we talked about first, I know the home inspection. We want to ensure that you're buying the property that you expect. We want to ensure that you are getting a home warranty in case there's extra issues after the closing, that if you want to have that insurance in place. Owner's title insurance, I do recommend it. Even if you're buying the property to renovate and flip, we still encourage homeowner's title insurance. Or if you plan on living there for 40 years, we encourage you to buy that. And then the final walkthrough, that's a simple type of insurance I feel like that realtors can provide. And again, it just makes everything all smooth.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right, now we got a couple questions that have come in recently from some newer realtors that are trying to handle some situations, maybe figure out what's going on. And they're looking for your expertise. This is what we're all about here at Creative Solutions. So the first question that we actually have is, how do you approach a client when you have finally received that inspection report?
Well, so if it's an inspection report you've got on a property and there's no problems, well, that's easy. You can just say, hey, we have no issues, but here's the report. We're going to have you sign off on here that everything's good. You send that over to the other agent and everybody's happy.
Yep.
The problem becomes when we have issues. So, we've today I seen one that came across my desk. There's 7 different issues, things we did not expect. These are items that the buyer is wanting done. So let's say I represent the buyer. And the inspection happens, the home inspector walks us around the house and points out the issues and gives us the pictures and all those things. I take that report and I start cutting it up and dividing it up, and I help the client. I'm like, what's most important? What are non-negotiables? What do we need to ask for that, we don't have the money to fix and we need the seller to fix? Then what we do is we put those on the report, and I tell my people, like, hey, let's give them a chance to fix these items. And the report I got today, there were 7 items, but again, it was just some little electrical stuff. I think there was a little drip in a water leak or something, simple issues, but things that my seller didn't know about. So what I do then is, let's flip it. Now I represent the seller. We get a report. We think our house is perfect as the selling agent. Our sellers is, that's the best house they ever owned. And, they kind of think their house is worth more than everybody else's house, and no problems with the house, right? Well, so now I go to them and I say, oh, they found 7 problems. I like to know what kind of expense it's going to cost to fix those items before I talk to my seller. I don't want to go to my seller and be like, oh, you got a water leak and you got this problem and that problem, and they're like, I don't know how much it's going to cost. Is it going to cost me thousands, or is it only going to cost me $500? And so I think that a lot of times as realtors, we owe it to our clients. We are supposed to be the experts, so we need to know what contractors that we could recommend, what plumbers, what electricians, who's good in that area of expertise that's needed. And I let my sellers know these are the items they're looking to be repaired. I think, go call, make your phone calls, you call your people, I can call my people if you need help. And basically, we just want to let the sellers know these buyers are excited to buy this house. We just need to make sure this is a good, safe house for them.
Correct.
Sellers generally say, let's do most, if not all of these issues. And now I will say also, since we're talking about the inspections, I would also do inspections on new construction. So anytime I represent a new construction builder, I always recommend home inspections. There's issues that sometimes his contractors, he don't realize that they were missed. Correct.
Correct.
And all he has to do is call the contractors and get the work done. So it doesn't really cost the builder any money at that point. So I always encourage you, if you're working a deal for new construction, always do a home inspection.
Awesome. I love that. And then the other question that we had today, we a lot of times realtors like to say we're in competitive markets, but sometimes we really are in a competitive market. When we're in one of those markets, obviously there's things like closing costs and different things like that we're going to be working with inside of our offers to get them accepted. What have you noticed? Maybe it's specifically closing cost or, and insurance, warranty, things like that. How can we make our offers the most desirable to the sellers when it comes to that, but also still protect our client and help them have the best deal that they can on their property?
So a lot of times what you're going to find is when we're asking for different concessions on a property, generally it's because we're dealing with a client who needs the assistance. Most people don't ask for something unless they need it. So for instance, if if let's say your spouse, let's say you have to ask your permission of your spouse to spend $1,000. Well, we don't like asking for permission to spend $1,000 from our spouse, but that's what we do. Now, the same thing with if you're asking somebody to pay your closing costs, if you're asking somebody to pay for your home warranty, if you're asking somebody to pay for your title insurance. Number one, I want my buyers to understand that every time we ask for something, we're lowering the net offer that we're giving to the other agent. So I will try to find other areas where I can benefit the offer. So for instance, maybe I'll up the earnest money if I'm asking for some closing costs, just so they know we are serious.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll shorten the inspection days so they know that we're going to move quickly. Maybe I'll do there's all kinds of different tricks of the trade, and also it's knowing what the seller wants. So I'll talk to the selling agent and be like, what's most important? Is the final number most important, or would they feel better, are they looking just for a quick close, or what can I do to try to help facilitate this? Obviously, we use lenders that will help give us the best type of financing. So if I've got a VA financing, that's different than a conventional. We all understand those things. So basically, when I have to ask, I try to help the sellers to understand my guys aren't asking because they're trying to get everything out of you. They're asking because they really need this assistance, and they really are excited about your house. They love your house. They want to make this work. And that's how I'll put my offers together. I will also let the sellers know, hey, if that deal don't work, we'll go find my buyers another house. But if you want to do business with us, this is what we need to do, and we're happy to move forward.
Absolutely.
So we just want to do it with confidence, and make sure they understand it's not an us against them. It's a win-win situation for everyone. Hey, we want to say thank you for tuning in to our podcast and checking us out on YouTube and the different places you see us. We have recorded a lot more information. If you're looking for more in-depth information on what we've talked about today and over the past couple weeks, you can go to creativesolutionsforrealtors.com, or you can go to Creative Solutions for Realtors on Instagram. There's a lot more content. We appreciate you guys being willing to allow us to help you to be a better agent, to help you to be able to do things professionally, and to stay out of the pitfalls of the business. Thank you so much.